Look, I know one of the biggest bonuses of a podcast is being able to skip through things you don't want to hear about, but I would encourage you just to sit tight for just a second, because as the war in Ukraine enters month 3, it's hard to believe it's been that long, and you watch all the stories of families being displaced and lives being shattered, and you think, man, that's really sad. I wish there was something I could do about it. Here's the cool thing. You and me and all the potties could get together and actually maybe make a difference by helping families in Ukraine who have been displaced by all this violence. There's nearly 11 million people that have been forced out of their homes. And imagine that. You can't take everything with you. You've got to just pick and choose the few things you can carry as you try to get your family to safety. They say desperate times calls for desperate measures. Well, these are desperate times. That's why the Wally Show is partnering with Food for the Poor and 3,500 pastors in Ukraine and surrounding countries to help feed these people. And here's what's really cool. You can provide a meal for 25 cents, a quarter what we plug into a gumball machine. You could actually feed a child a meal. So now do some math with me. Your gift of $1 would actually feed a family of 4. Your gift of $10 sends 40 meals. Your gift of $25 will feed 100 people who desperately need it. So while this is a really sad story on the world stage, it is really cool to see the difference that a few motivated potties could make. So text the word Wally to 91999. That's Wally, W-A-L-L-Y, to 91999, and we'll send you a link to make a difference today.
Welcome to the Wally Show Aftercast, your second with just Gavin and I, no Wally. And I think it's going okay.
It's at least quieter, in all honesty.
There is that. But we do have a couple of things that I want to talk about. One of these, Gavin, I know you'll agree with me, Wally is definitely prone to do. So I found this article that claims you can be put in a bad mood if on Zoom you stare at yourself the whole time.
Really? You can be put into a bad mood?
You can be
just
put
by
into
looking at yourself.
At yourself. Yes, exactly.
Did this study just look over at like ugly people? No, that's mean. I'm sorry. Non-models, because I know.
Well, researchers did this, so they monitored people's eye movements, and they noticed that people's mood got worse the more they focused on their own video.
Huh.
So why is this? They're not really sure, but a part of me thinks, we've seen where people are saying they're getting plastic surgery done. They're seeing more and more people who are younger getting plastic surgery.
And it's like based on the fact that people are seeing their double chin more, basically.
Yes.
They're just seeing the wrong angle of themselves.
Exactly. And also, if you're staring at yourself, you're probably not smiling at yourself, because that's a little weird. Though Wally does. Like when we did Zoom for a little bit during like the height of the COVID pandemic, he would sit there. He could see himself in a TV that was across the studio from him, and I would catch him constantly staring at himself in the TV screen.
And despite anything that he does say, I do think that Wally is incredibly self-conscious of the way that he looks, because he's, I would say, in the studio, he's probably the one who, wears the most, like jewelry. The one who, sprays his hair and does a lot of stuff for that. He's got
puts
a sense
forth
of
effort on how he dresses.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like the fact that he cares as much as he does about skinny jeans. Like I found that recently I've been way more comfortable just wearing a good pair of pants. Like he needs the right size around his ankle. And though he can't see his ankles on Zoom, I think he would love to see.
Oh, for sure. He brags so
Zoom.
Much about his calves. I'm sure he would love to see that. But maybe next time, if you're working from home and you do a lot of Zoom calls and you're noticing yourself being in a bad mood all the time, stop looking at yourself.
Because I find that I had a hard time turning the camera off, because it was sort of a self-conscious, like, hope I look normal while I'm doing things. But at the same time, just have faith that you don't look like a total dork.
Right. Well, and hopefully. Also, too, like when you're not on Zoom, you're looking like a dork all the time anyways, and people have accepted you.
And everyone looks like a dork on Zoom.
For sure.
Nobody looks great on Zoom.
No. Unless you have one of those circle lights.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
But I don't have
I think Pastor Chad has one.
What is it with the men around here?
I don't know.
So fashionable.
I wish I was saying that about me.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think I told you this yet. So today, after our meeting, because we typically have a meeting on Wednesdays, my roommate told me I have to hurry up and get home straight afterwards because she has something she has to be at by 3. And I'm thinking we'll get out of here around noon. But I'm hurrying to get home because we are on the last episode of Stranger Things season 4.
You caught up. Look at you.
We caught up. We watched 3 episodes yesterday, and those things are at least a movie's length worth.
Oh, I know. The fact that they stretched it from the normal 50 or so minutes the first 3 seasons gave us to basically every episode being about an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So I get, okay, so you guys watched 3. You're hustling home so that you can finish the other
because
4 episodes?
No. We're on the last one.
Okay, which is an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah. Now, the reason that we have to hustle is because of our schedules, we're not going to be together to watch it for a while. And so we don't want to wait for forever.
No.
So we're going to have to hurry and get home. Now, I will say this. We were talking about this, my roommate and I. You know, they give a warning before the first episode of season 4 because of the Texas shooting that happened, and they didn't want to trigger people. Me, I'm thinking to myself, if you have to put that on there, why are you even having it? Like, take some of that. Like, I know what spots they're talking about, and it has to do with 11 and all these things. But maybe they should just have thought, does this series need that kind of gore if we have to put a warning in front of it? Yeah,
it's tough because when you watch the show and you're thinking about, like, okay, who is this audience for? Like, this audience is probably it's us who are, adults who can take on that level of violence. But I'm sure that there are kids who started watching it. It's funny because even the kids in this show are geared towards making adults laugh. Like, I think Dustin is utterly hilarious. Yeah. So I think that they're meant for people like us, but I assume kids are watching this. But then you got to think, watching some of those scenes with 11 and the other people like her, and just some of the other, some of the. I won't explain it
because you don't want to give it away.
You don't want to give it away.
Alert.
But also, it's just I'm not going to explain it because
there's a lot of gore that has happened since season 1, and I'm not here for it. I'm here for Stranger Things. Yeah. But I'm not here for the gore.
No, I think that the entirety of the show, because I'm thinking back on season 1, because we were watching some of the episodes from that felt a lot cleaner in that it was more about a mystery of where is this coming from and what does it mean and what is 11 all about and all this stuff. And there was more of a mystery element to it. Whereas everything since then has just been people dying.
Darker. It gets darker and darker and darker. And I also told my roommate, I said, to me, I think the reason we don't like the gore that is in season 4 is because it's almost possessional.
It is. Oh, it's
and
a little demonic.
I don't like that stuff. It's creepy.
And it's not great for, the people who are letting their young kids watch it.
Oh, yeah, I would not.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Wouldn't.
There's no way. I mean, I was talking with Joy, who does our afternoons here at Way FM. I was talking to her about it because her and her husband are watching it. And she said,
I can't see Joy
I can't either.
Enjoying that.
But she is. And she said there's a lot of times she's having to walk out of the room. If an adult has to walk out of the room, do you think kids should be watching that? No.
That'll be one that It'd be, and it's interesting because it's a show that I've totally loved, and it's something I'd love to share with my kids someday. But at the same time,
you're going to have to really be careful.
We're going to have to be careful. It might be a post 17 years old.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Summer before you go to college kind of thing.
But also too, the people that have been through some kind of trauma, these shootings and stuff that are happening, they're going to be left with nothing to watch because everything is violent. Right. And I don't like that, but I do like the characters and you get sucked in, and I love the music. I love
I love all the fashion. I love all the vibe of all that.
Yes.
Can I also say this? So in the show, there's a series where you've got high schoolers and bullying, which is another triggery type topic per se. But I have such a hard time watching that because I just don't remember high schoolers being that mean when I was in school. And I wasn't somebody who got involved and was bullied at that age. I was, younger ages sometimes, but not at that age. I just don't remember high school being that mean. I
had the same experience. There was no bullying that I experienced in my school. I'm sure there was,
sure.
but I never was the target of it. And neither was I the one that was giving it either. I just never saw it. And I don't know if it was because I was in a very podunk private school with very little people. That could have been part of it. But I do know that I do have friends who have experienced stuff like that. And when they see stuff like that, they're just like, takes them back to those high school days and they don't want to relive it. So I'm not saying that it isn't possible, especially when you see especially like online.
That's
now.
what the thing is like when we were in high school, like even when I was in high school, Facebook was really just sort of starting to find its way into people's everyday lives. And then for you, I assume it wasn't around.
Was
just launching?
Was around.
There you go.
And gosh,
but people hadn't, or trying to think, bullies had not utilized that when I was younger. I don't remember there being this level of intentionality of hiding behind social media when I was younger.
And just because bullying is not just in high school or junior high or elementary, sadly, it's in the adult life as well. But the reason I bring up Stranger Things is because they're now announcing that it is now Netflix's most watched English language series.
I remember seeing that.
It has gotten 781 million hours viewed, and it's only been out for 17 days.
Oh, yeah, you're right. In my head, it's been out for a while, but Haley and I watched it in like one day.
Oh, my gosh.
So.
Wow. But all that to say, you and I are the problem, Gavin.
Yeah, we are. We're giving Netflix what they want, and thus they will keep on going. And I also think that I'm not sure if this is the last season of Stranger Things or if they're up for more after this.
It's so big and money is so influential.
And these kids, if you're, these young actors, it's like your big shot to make big money.
Yeah.
Because you don't know. You don't know what you as an adult actor are going to be capable of.
But you're also putting yourself in a corner because you're going to have to really work to get out of that character that everyone sees you as, But also another popular Netflix series that sadly, once again, I watched, and I know, Gavin, you did too, and it was full of violence, was Squid Games.
I didn't end up finishing Squid. Did you finish Squid Games? No.
Yes,
I was kind of like I had a harder time getting past the language barrier /
you're having to read everything.
Super interest in it, I guess.
The ending I did not care for at all. But that hasn't stopped them from saying that they will be doing a season 2.
That's so interesting because it looked like a good one-off. Like the Squid Games happened. Boom, we're done.
But it was so popular and so many people actually dressed as some of the characters for Halloween. But now Netflix announced that they are doing something called Squid Game The Challenge.
Okay.
So it's going to be 456 players.
Which is the same number of players from the first season.
Okay, I was going to ask you because I couldn't remember that.
Because everyone was dealt out a number.
Right.
And there was the old guy who was number 1. And then I think one of the main characters was 456.
Yes.
And that's the total amount. It's $1 million per person, which is the pot is 456 million. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Well, they're competing in a series of games. So these are people that are from the actual world, but 456 people, and they're going to be vying for the chance to win $4.56 million.
Okay, that's
so it's going to be
smaller amount.
It's going to be it's going to be Squid Games, but it's going to be with actual people, not actors.
That's awesome.
And there's not going to be violence like there was in the actual show. But Netflix is calling it a massive competition and social experiment.
That is super interesting. And $4.56 million is
that's a lot.
That's still life-changing money.
Yeah, they said that it's the biggest payout for the largest lump sum cash prize in TV history. So Fox's X Factor, they previously had the record for $5 million. Recording contracts that were worth $5 million. But Netflix is doing the $4.56 million payout.
Okay.
So, yeah. If you would like to audition and be one of the competitors, you can go to squidgamecasting.com. I don't know if I would want to do
Betty,
that.
I think that you should audition for the show.
There's no way. There is no
I think that
stinking way.
You've got like the personality, I think, to be something people would be drawn to on television. And then look at the money you could bring home. Look at all the breakfast you could cover for the show.
That's
or you
true
could
too.
retire from the show and live a good life.
Well, and I mean, I know some of the competitions that they did. Some of it has to do with like being fit and active. And I'm not.
I know.
In that scenario. Now, the one about the cutting the cookies out, I could do that.
Oh,
remember that one?
I've seen recreations, like people on YouTube trying to do that. That looked interesting.
I think I could have done that. But I just can't deal with the anxiety.
I remember Red Light, Green Light was a game.
Gosh.
I don't remember what some of the other more physically challenging ones.
There was a tug of war game.
Oh no.
There was a game where you had to like step on glass, and if it didn't break, then you would make it to the end. But some were breakable and you couldn't tell.
That's so scary. It's scary because those people were competing and they knew that losing was
done. That was it. And on that note,
violence on TV.
Let's go to birthdays. We've got JL, Jael, Jael. JL?
No idea.
To Rachel. Their mother, JL's mother, Rachel, said she's the best mom ever. Happy birthday. Scott wants to wish himself a happy birthday today. Said he just got out of prison and is working on doing prison ministry now. That is awesome.
That's awesome, Scott.
Yeah, that's really cool. We've got a question from Julie. Julie said, and this can kind of go back to our Stranger Things conversation. How did you survive junior high?
Ooh. Did I?
Right. Well, junior high, I would say, though I wasn't a receiver of bullying I saw the most of in junior high. I got called a boy by my best friend because she said I dressed like a boy and I looked like a boy.
What was your haircut back then?
It was long, but that was the only thing girly about me. Okay. Like I wore like black sneakers and comfy shirts. Like I didn't care about what the other girls in my class were doing, like wearing cute little skirts and all the stuff. I just did not care. I was very tomboyish.
Oh, sure.
It stayed with me, but obviously it didn't affect me because here I am still going more for the comfort than I do the style.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, junior high. My biggest hurdle was just keeping my grades up.
Oh, really? I
hated school.
It was hating, like not wanting to actually do the math, the science, all that stuff where it's just like, why? What's the point of this?
Once I leave school, it's dead to me. Like I don't want to do homework. I want to do what I want to do. And I know in junior high, I think it was my 7th grade year, I was half a point away from failing math. And I was supposed to go to summer school because that's close enough. But my parents were like, nah, because they
said nah to like, you just aren't going to do summer school? Or nah, like,
I wasn't going to do summer school because summer school, you got out around noon and my parents could not come and pick me up every day at noon because of summer school. So I didn't go.
Did you fail math?
No, I was half a point away from failing.
So you didn't. It wasn't.
I passed.
It was never necessary.
Barely. Yeah. And then I remember in 6th grade, I was at my private school. The girls had to wear dresses or skirts or whatever. I wore jean skirts a lot.
Yeah, you did.
And I remember one day, for some reason, I was doing jumping jacks in the back of the classroom, and I split my jean skirt up the front. All the way.
Nice.
And instead of going home, my principal just decided to put duct tape on my skirt. So I wore duct tape for the rest of the day on my skirt.
I like that your principal was initiated a key moment of you just staying at school. Like we don't send kids home for ripped jeans or anything like that. They're here to learn no matter what.
So duct tape it is.
Was it embarrassing to have said duct tape on your...
I don't think it did. I remember it happening, but I don't remember the rest of the day. Either it was so tragic that I forgot it, or it just wasn't a big deal to me because I didn't really care about being the center of attention. Like I'm for that. And I can be goofy and stupid. And like I said, the homework was the challenge for me.
Homework no-go. I think for me, junior high was like a difficult time. Mm-hmm. And difficult is like very like watered down. Like I'm not talking about incredibly difficult, but I remember because for me, junior high was just 7th grade and 8th grade. That's just how I perceived it. Was 1 year of school was in 7th grade in Wyoming at a small school where I knew a couple good friends, and that was a good year. But it was a year where I was trying to figure out, who I was. Yeah. And I felt like a poser most of the time because it was like, wear your hat to the side a little bit.
Yeah. You're just trying to fit in.
Wear Zoomies shoes and all of this stuff where you're just like, man, what looks cool? Baggy fashion was definitely cool. And then I moved to California for my 8th grade year. And that's where I picked up the Kardashian accent. But that one was awkward because I was at a new school and it was a big school and I did not have friends going into that year, like at all, basically. I think I knew one guy who my parents introduced us as friends. And so that was like my one person that I actually knew. But it was just like part of being a military kid where you move.
Were you ever mad or anxious when your parents would say, hey, we're moving again?
I think that the only time that I remember ever being truly bummed out about it was when I moved twice. I think from moving from California to Texas and then Texas to Louisiana, which was why I went to like 3 different high schools. But that's when I was like, okay, I had just at the end of my freshman year of college or of high school had made really good friends. And I was like, oh, this would be the coolest way to do 4 years of high school. Yeah. And then they were like, oh, we're moving. And I remember that being hard. And then I remember before I moved to Louisiana, I was like, right before my senior year, like that feels like such a bummer. I can't eat at Macaroni Grill anymore because that's where they announced it to us. We're just at that restaurant and they're just like, hey, we're moving. And I'm like, I'll order the lasagna.
I want to eat my feelings. Were they good about helping you and your brother and sister manage that?
Oh yeah, mom and dad.
Because that means that's really tough. Did they realize that they were doing something that was really tough for y'all?
And it was never, my dad chose the career path, but it was never his. He never got to choose when we were moving. That was all handed down to him was, hey, like you're moving. And whether it was 2 or 3 years, then they would hand down that order. So it was never his choice. But mom and dad were like legends when it came to being really good at keeping us as like a family unit as we moved. Usually when we would move during the moving process, it would kind of couple as a vacation where on the drive out to the new state that we were living in, we would do some really fun things. So that was really fun. And then when we were there, they were so good about finding like me a soccer team to play with, finding us a church that even if they didn't love it, but if we loved the high school or the junior and the kids stuff, they would choose that church over something that they liked more because they wanted us to be as comfortable as possible. They found us the best school to go to and all of these things. So they were always thinking of and putting us first in a job that had us moving a lot. Yeah. And so they did a really good job of being awesome parents and awesome friends and just making everything as comfortable as possible for us. Because like you move a kid around a lot and you say, hey, go make friends. And not everyone can do that as easily as possible. So.
Some of you are shy.
I used to hate talking to new people. Like I spent, again, back to like 8th grade, I think I spent for the first maybe semester of school, I probably spend most lunches I would eat, and then I would just go to like the library to read or something until I made friends. Yeah. So,
well, how did you make friends? Maybe that'll help this Julie who's asking.
Oh, how did I make friends? I personally made friends through sports most of the time, where it was just like, if you see a thing that you like doing, and most schools have like a few clubs or teams or something. So I would say if you find something that you like, give it one chance. Like if you see a sport that you want to play, like give it a chance at lunch or whatever break it is to go play with that. Or if there was one thing I did chess club at one point and I walked in, sat down, and I made a friend through that. So it's just going to places where you already know you're going to have similar interests with people versus just, floating, I guess, which is, it's hard. It's still hard to put yourself out there. Like, I still think that's hard as an adult sometimes, but just putting yourself out there once could lead to finding one person who knows and likes the things you like.
Well, that could be good advice for anyone at any stage.
That's
of life.
true. I'd approach that as a 26-year-old the same as I would a 13-year-old.
There you go. A little wisdom from Kevin.
I got you.
Well, that's the end of our Aftercast. And as always,
thanks for being a potty. I never get to say that.